Dr. Monoladies, my name is Chaz, and welcome to the What If deku got turned into a nomu. Basically, yeah. So I know it says what if deku turned into a nomu, but yeah. So this is going to be a little bit of a different compared to like an average one. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Before we jump right in, I will do 2 uploads. This one would be a first one, but I hope that I get the second one. The second one is either going to be a story, like basically like a evil story, but it gets better at the end. So, yeah. So, yeah. And now, without further ado, yes, I am adding Zumi into this what if, but the story is mostly focused on Zuko instead of Zumi, because Zumi's role is almost similar to her brother from canon, basically, where I said almost, but she has a quirk and she gets one for all and all that crazy stuff. So, without further ado, I will start things off a little bit darker right off the bat. Then I'll move a little bit towards the little bit lighter when that time comes. It's like the light, dark, light, then yeah. So light moment, dark moment, light moments types. So, without further ado, let's jump right into the what if. So, Zuko and Zumi been born. And everyone loved Zuko, including his own sister. So, everyone was friendly to him. And they all see him as a sibling to them. So, yeah. And there's actually 3 people wants to date him so bad. That is Momo, Mina, and Jiro. Because one of you guys in the comments below actually suggested a comment for like part 2 of one of the past episodes of with like Jiro, Mina, and Momo. So, yeah. So I'm including them into this what if. So, all 3 of them wanted to date Zuko at the same time. Because, yeah. Because, yeah. Or Momo, or no, not Momo. It's the Ochako was dating Bakugo at the time. And Bakugo sees Zuko as his twin brother, basically. Yeah. But one day, after, let's say, at age of 5, Zuko, so the quirk doctor tells Zuko that he's quirkless and he can't become a hero, but his sister can. So he basically lied to Zuko about him not having a quirk. So, yeah. So then let's continue. So, Zuko and everybody was like, Izuku was sad, but everyone cheered him up. Like, everyone loved him more than anyone. They didn't, no one cared and if he was quirkless or quirked. So, yeah, that includes the villains. So, basically, yeah. So, All for One decided go ahead and use him. Or, actually, the Quark Doctor had a big plans to use All for One. No, not All for One. I meant Zuko, whom, because he's a perfect test subject. So, one day he got, let's say at age of 5, he gets captured by the Quark Doctor. And the Quark Doctor puts him in tank and basically with the green fluids, as the Quark Doctor says to Zuko, oh, first I need to abstract your soul from your body. So he literally did. He literally abstract Zuko's soul out of his own body. So that when a time comes to give him back his soul, then yeah. So then he experimented on him. Like, they even took away his quirk and all that stuff away from him. When Zumi was like, man, he sure has gone long enough. Has anything happened? Well, I don't know. But as Inko has this weird feeling in her where she feels like someone went wrong with. So everybody, or so then the needles were found at the crime scene of him getting abducted. So then, yeah, stuff like that. So Zuko was experimented on for 10 years. That's almost 10 years of his own life getting experimented on, getting transformed into a nomu. And so, yeah. So, yeah, it was terrifying. So, then, now we go to time skip of 15. His sister, same age, 15. So, she goes to UA, but she's depressed because they have not, or she has not seen her brother in 10 years. And she has a feeling that one of the villains kidnapped him to do something bad. So, yeah, and I am mostly gonna do a time skip to USJ. So, at USJ, the the, the ambush attack and of course, we brought our own friend. Thank you very much. Come on out, Ultra. As the Ultra comes out with green long hair, his eyes are covered, his mouth is bigger than ever. He was a monster, a freak show. As everyone was scared, but the Bakugo recognizes the Nomu. No way. As the Nomu roars louder than anything. As he looks right at the Class 1A. I think we found your brother, Zumi, as he murmurs to himself. Because let's say that day Zumi was sick. Or sick to her stomach. So then it goes almost similar to canon, but the All Might was there and he saved the students but he got beaten up by the Nomu as he uses his tail. Boom. As Shiraki-san and Azuku runs towards All Might and he's about to punch him, but All Might dodged and throw a punch back at him. Boom. As he collapsed. As he gets himself back up. So then after USJ, Bakugo, who turns away from he walks away, he just needs to recuperate. As the detective's like, where are you going? It's just, I'm going over here so that as the detective walks over and asks him runs their question, but whoever is creating the Nomus should be put in prison. And Bakugo quietly says to the only good detective, as he says, why? That Nomu that battled against All Might was actually Zuko himself. I could sense it and I saw his green hair. He's always had green hair and as the detective's like, so you're saying, as he looks over at the Nomu that was about to be escorted, as the I see it. Can you hear me? As he tells Zuko, as he roars at him, as he gets escorted to the jail cell thing, but Kirigiri warps him away from and teleports him back to the court doctor, and yeah. Then so All Might versus All for One. And so All Might versus All for One arc happened. But before that, it was a time skip. So before or during the time skip, he basically walks, Pakugo walks over to have a talk to Inko. As he sat down with her, and I think that I found your brother, or I found Zumi's brother. As when Inko heard, or they found Zumi, or they found Zuko, where's he at? Well, you might not believe me, and go ahead and take your anger out on me if you want. Or sadness. Zuko, got turned into a nomu. Or into a monster. As when he said that with a calm voice, Inko knew what he meant. As she basically, and no, I wasn't a one, or he actually says no, and no, I am not the one that actually had that, or had type to know. It was during the USJ. As when after Zumi walked in and sat down, and when they both heard that, they immediately start crying. As they can't believe that a villain, turned their precious brother / son into a monster. Sure. So then the court doctor says there's only one more thing to be, and that, my friend, is your final duty. You have to protect All Might, you have to protect All for One, and also Shiraki-san. Plus, go ahead and kill Hero Killer Stain. So that was before, or the Tenya's brother thing. The So Zuko didn't disobey, but I'm just gonna do a description of what he's. So when the monster found all where Hero Killer Stain was at, as they hear, or everyone could hear some scream as Zuko. So the nomu, basically the monster part, ate Hero Killer Stain. When he's chomping on Hero Killer Stain's body, you could hear bones crack. And yeah, all that stuff. And you could also hear Hero Killer Stain screaming for mercy. Like, please, no, no, no. Yeah. As Hero Killer Stain has been killed, there was nothing left but the pile of blood. Yeah. And his weapons. So, yeah. So then yeah. So now a time skip to, now we get to the present day of All Might versus All for One. As All Might was like, he says, where's that boy? Or where's that monster that you experiment? Oh, you mean in my favorite project? Named Ultimate or Ultra? He's around. I could easily call him. As he snaps his fingers, and the monster comes out of nowhere. And so, yeah. So, All Might sees this monster, and like, he says, or so All for One says, eat him. As he's about, or he reached over, as All Might dodged the attack, but he had 6 arms. One of them grabs him, and he's about to devour him. But dumb luck, Bakugo explosion, sending himself flying towards the monster, and like smacks the monster's hand away from Bakugo, or no, from the that was holding All Might, and basically like saved his life from it. So yeah, as the yeah, so then he chased after them, and Bakugo was using explosions. It's like that scene in where, like, basically how Godzilla chasing Spider-Man and Mary Jane away from Godzilla. Well, yeah. So So yeah, the Zuko was basically he. So the Zuko was similar to Godzilla, and the Spider-Man would be like the Bakugo, and Mary Jane would be like, or actually All Might would be like that. So then they basically they found a dead end as he reached over and he's about to grab them both. But his memories flowed back into, or when. So Zumi, or no, not Zumi, Inko stops, or she basically marks or stands between the monster and the Zuko, or between the monster and the Bakugo and All Might. So basically, she tells them, or as he used, or she used his actual name, Zuko. Can you still hear me? Eat. Eat. As All for One says, he's too far gone to actually. He has no. He has no memories of anyone because the good old doctor stole his memories, his soul, and he even, or so your son actually had a quirk. The entire time. So so the quirk doctor took away his your son's quirk. So he basically took everything away from him. So now he has nothing left. Just his empty shell with a bunch of quirks jammed right through him. As when Inko heard that her son is a mindless monster from when she heard that he was a mindless monster, as Zuko was basically pretty much a so then and plus Inko knew which doctor that All for One was talking about. Or so the quirk doctor. As without further ado, let's get the quirk doctor. Let's get to quirk. So sorry. So the quirk doctor. Yeah. Let's continue. So Yeah. So everyone, like a citizen, heard what the All for One said. The court doctor took everything away from poor Zuko. Who? So yeah, he literally took everything. So the citizens, and when they heard that, they were like, some of them are sad, but then, or all of them were sad, like how Inko's his face. But then they look at All for One and turns it into anger. Like, has anger for the court doctors and the and All for One. So yeah, so All for One basically, so the heroes, or no, the pro heroes and the citizens came in, and they did like take down All for One, and they like like basically holds down the Quark Doc, or the Zuko's monster form, as he's trying to like basically, yeah. So as he's trying to like squirm out, and like as the as Inko sits right on him, or everybody like tries to hold him down, and so All Might, or so Momo actually created a knife, like a typical like knife that you would find in kitchens, and she passed it to the All Might to open his neck up, because Zumi knows that with all the nomus, because she's seen it before. So in order to, as All Might, he basically cuts open the neck part like a surgeon, and they see this big machine that was bigger than a car, basically. Like a flat screen TV across his neck, because how big he is. And when Inko saw that, as she was like, oh crud, no. As so, I forgot to mention that during the experiment, actually, between on Zuko, the court doctor actually turned a little bit of his DNA, or turned Zuko's DNA to be more specific. He also added frog DNA, basically the genes of frogs. So he can produce like offsprings of it. So, yeah. So he basically had like the quirks, the everything. So he makes. I'll tell you the number of how many offsprings that he has. He has over 1.9 bazillion kids. Yeah. During the from age of 5 to 15. That's how much that he, yeah. So then the blade, so then the monster, or so All Might was like, now we just need a way to disarm it before, or find a way to, like, and Zuko's, like, body was in so much pain. So, what do? His sister actually grabs the machine and lifts it up like a carpet. And so everybody joined and, like, lifts himself up and, like, basically puts him over, or, like, they detach the power stuff from him, and then he basically, they lifted like an anthill. Yeah. So, as they thought he was dead. So, but then his skin regenerated back as he was just sleeping. Yeah. As Inko can't believe, as she rubs against her own son's face with her hand, as she can't believe that someone actually did that to her own child. As she turns her eyes, looked right at All for One. Why did you do it? Why did you turn my son into a monster? Your son was a perfect test subject. Because his DNA, it's not his quirk, but his actual DNA was, or is, perfect test subject to put more and more quirks and changing his DNA. Or should I say adding to his DNA. As so your son is now, just a mindless monster. As they put All for One behind bars, and they put Zuko in the bedroom. Like, basically, they thought he died, but then, yeah. So, yeah. basically Zuko wasn't dead. He was just trying to sleep. So, yeah. So then so All Might and all the pro heroes shows up to, the hospital, gets everyone out of there, and the pro heroes were like, "We have you now," and then all that stuff. Well, so then first they deal with Overhaul, and yeah. So Zuko was, as his monster form wakes up, as in his own head, as his soul, as Izuku says, I have one command for you, body. I want you to get, or we need to combine back into one. That's your final order. As he looks at him, as he nods his head, because the quirk, or should I say, the Zuku's soul, had his memories in it and the quirk. So then when he woke up in a big box where he's awake. As he melts the hauler right off. As he breaks through we have a containment breach. As he jumps over, because, yeah, he jumped over and he ran right towards where not Hero Killer's thing, where All for One, or the Court Doctor's actual lab was at. It wasn't near the hospital. It was like 25 miles away from it. So when Zuko pinpointed, as he clawed right at, or he breaks through the first layer, second layer, and he finds the actual Court Doctor. As he grabs the Court Doctor, pulls him up. And as he says, I want my soul back. He says it in a demonic voice. As the Court Doctor was scared out of his mind. Okay. Here, as the Court Doctor gives Zuko back the quirk and his soul, his memories, as it it came back, and so then when the heroes heard that Zuko's monsters escaped, or Zuko, who's his monster, escaped from custody, they ended up finding him. As named Quirk Doctor was about to be eaten by Zuko. So Todoroki didn't hesitate as he froze Zuko solid. As Zuko's did save, or actually, when Endeavor actually kind of accidentally went overboard because he didn't mean to, like, kill Zuko. But Zuko actually, in his left arm, where opposite of his right, where on his right hand he was holding the Quark Doctor, and yeah, but in his left arm he had, because his monstrous moment after he got his quirk back, he came, or so his genetics went back to normal, like his human form, but at a painful price of Zuko, who died in his monster form, but he came back as when he came back, they did not notice that the bruise, or no, his arm or his below his arm, where they are supposed to check if there was any injuries, but they didn't realize that Zuko came back from the, so basically, you know how, like, the snakes shed their skin? Well, Zuko shed his entire monster body to be a human. So he has long hair now, and he has, as he had so much pain that he doesn't, no one knew who he would look like. So then the villains become, or the heroes were like, he better wake up soon. So a couple months have passed. That's what they thought. He was still alive, or he was sleeping for a long time. But they didn't know that he already woke up before. So his children's were now, they're the same size as Zuko's is. Oh, yeah. As one of the students, like after school, she was about to head home, but then she turned. let's say it was Jiro. She was walking home after school, home, but she ends up noticing a green hair or long green haired guy, he, just sitting, heading down, putting some headphone music on. As she walks closer, as she like thought she would recognize him, but when she got closer, Zuko says, "Hey Jiro, long time no see." As he looks up, as she knows who it is, her favorite boyfriend, basically. Because Jiro, Mina, and Momo were dating him together. So, yeah. But when she saw him, like, have his long hair and was listening to some music, as she runs up to him and hugs him, as she had tears of joy coming down his face, as she realized it was actual him, not a clone. It's good to see you, Zuko. Yeah, it's good to see you too. A lot has changed when I came. Yeah. As she basically, like, they both visit, as her parents come out of nowhere, and when they saw who's this guy? And Zuko didn't have, like, facial hair, so he had long green hair, but he had no, like, facial hair. So, yeah. He kind of looks like his sister. That name. So when they looked at him and they realized who it was, Zuko, is that you? Yeah, it's me. I thought you were in custody. Like, we all thought you were sleeping. No. The when I got my soul, everything. I got my soul, my quirk, my memories back. It resetted my DNA back to the way it was before. So now I'm human, like the rest of you. And they can't believe it. It's good to see you. And so then the next day, Zuko actually wanted to surprise his own, like, mother, because his mother looked at the monster, or she came to visit the monster, but she didn't realize that who she was talking to was basically you know how, like, there, was just talking to her skin, or talking to Zuko's skin. Yeah, so now without that out of the way, and so she was walking home from it. But then she noticed a guy standing and talking to Momo or whom. And she never thought about it until Momo said, "Okay, Zuko, oh, that is just too funny." As she immediately turns around and sees, as she walks up to Zuko, is that really you, Zuko? Yep, it's me. As she hugs him, and she could not believe that he's still alive somehow, and all that stuff. So, yeah. So so when Inko, like, yeah, man, you have longer hair than your own sister has, huh? Yeah, that's what you get when they experimented on you, or when the court doctors experimented on you. Oh, and yeah, so he goes to UA. He wants to surprise his sister and the entire class. So Momo's ran late, but she had to grab a certain person. Sorry, I'm late. I had to grab someone it's a surprise for you guys. And I was walking to where Zuko's monster body was at, yeah? And when halfway, or no, not even halfway, when I was almost there, he actually showed up. Really? You want to see where he is? So then they basically says, okay, here. As Zuko comes in, as he looks more tired out than even Mr. Ozawa. Yeah. Because with all that pain that he went through, with those like kids, or with that court doctor, was, yeah. So when they all can't believe it, as even Mr. Ozawa was like, I thought you were still in that monster form. No. When I got my quirk and soul and everything back to me, it reset in my DNA. So, yeah, it was pretty scary. And so, yeah, it took me some time to adjust into the, yeah. So then they were like, man, you look more tired than Mr. Ozawa. What does that mean? As Mr. Ozawa says, you always look tired. Yeah. So then the students were like, or Mr. Ozawa looks over. Yeah. You just need to go to bed. Yeah. So, yeah. The so then he one of the or when he came or when actually Nezu basically told Zuko, "It's good to have you back." Yeah, and your kids are doing very good. They gotta be. They or because he knows that when they turned his DNA into him, like, or adding like the frog basically allows him to. He still has that, but he doesn't use it often. So he sleeps most of the day. As the students, Bakugo actually hugs him. Or not really hugs him, but just like a side hug. He's like, yeah, he's tired. And he slept on a couch when they were training. As but besides that, Nezu's like, yeah, what happened that day? That we all know that you're still alive, and man, and plus, I like your long hair, by the way. Yeah, as he's about to go, as he's about to go, like, do something crazy, or like he wants. So he goes to the barber, and like the same one that, or actually the barber knew like what Zuko was, so then he basically come on in, no need to pay. So as he cuts Zuko's hair for free, and yeah, because it was pretty weird to feel like, yeah. So he went from having a long hair to like to where you're seeing like that type of hair. And he feels so much better now compared to who yeah, where he was. So, without further ado, let's continue. So, the next couple days or couple months have passed. And Zuko is happy that his own, like, basically his kids that because of he was a monster, so his kids had same, like, DNA thing. But they actually visit him more often. And so he gets married to Momo, Jiro, and Mina. That's crazy. And then they had their kids with him. And yeah, and his quirk is similar to the Endeavor. Basically, he has fire manipulation and yeah, stuff like that. So, and he does hang out with Aries. does, because he sees her as a sister, and stuff like that is crazy. And when he told her, or when she asks someone like, Muriel, why is he sleeping so many times? Well, and when when Muriel told her why he was just like how we found you, Aries. You know how like you got experimented on? Well, the crazy doctor turned him into a monster and all that stuff. And when she heard that, she could not believe that. So she even has more respect for Zuko. So when she basically hangs out with him a lot more too. So with that out of the way, yeah. And yeah. So I told you, beginning part it was light, then dark, then light, then or like basically light towards darkness and then back again. Because of yeah. So everyone or so after then the court doctor his lab was getting experimented on. Or actually when they asked Zuko to like come with them to see, because there could be survivors, other survivors. Yeah. So, because they keep finding, or they kept getting reports of missing childs, basically. So, and so Zuko went down into the hole that he dug before, like way before. As he looks around, because one of his special abilities that he had before was night vision, so he kept that too. So he looks around, and he sees like tangs after tangs and of the blue green stuff. So when Zuko found out, I see ya, or as he hears whimpering, like as he sees a young girl that was almost the same age as Aries, but she was a completely different one. So when he opens it, he looks inside and sees, what's your name? As he asks her and all that stuff. Well, Zuko actually or knew her before, as she was like scared. But then when she turned around and recognizes who he was, she trusts him, like she was more relaxed. So she came with, and she gets every other student or kids that were missing came back to him. And plus, as stuff like that is just too crazy. So then all the students or kids that were missing were found, and they got all the students or kids back in. But before Zuko left, or he was the last person to leap out of, he hears this roar as the monster ran and towards Zuko, slamming him into a wall. As the heroes are like, "Are you doing okay?" "Yeah, I'll be fine. Just get those kids away from here." As he's barfing out blood, as a monstrous voice says, "Those kids aren't safe. Hang from me." As he looks up and he recognizes who it was. Project Delta. Because the Project Delta was a higher rank nomu that was compared to Ultimate or Ultra. As as Zumi him knows when Zuko's lying about that. So Inko, or no, not Inko, Zumi, Momo, Jiro, and they jump down and they see a monster hunter was about to kill Zuko, as they used duct tape to like hold him back. And so Endeavor did come down with them. Sorry. So they and tackled, what is that monster? It's the Delta. He's a higher rank than me in experiments. Wow. The there's so the so Mountain Lake grabs Zuko, and like pulls him out of there and onto a hospital bed that he almost died from. As Zuko knows what to do, because he needs to make an ultimate sacrifice to because there was, yeah. So Delta ends up chasing after Zuko because he was about to kill him. And so the detectives, All Might, and the rest of everybody went right towards Zuko, or right to there. And there's nowhere to run. Traitor. As he's about to, Ezuku knows Delta's weakness was actually the same weakness as the him. So Suzuku did create a machine to try to destroy his old monster body from reviving, but he needs a test subject. So what does he do? He tested it on him, or on Delta, Project Delta. And it triggers and bam! As Delta's like, ha ha ha, you think your little toy could harm me? As he was about to throw a punch to end Zuku's life, but Delta's entire body was obliterated. As Zuko lays down, as blood dripping from his mouth, his eyes, his ears, hers. As Aries, everybody's like, are you doing okay? As the citizens actually cared about him more than anyone. So they're like, okay, yeah. I just need to relax. And Dean, yeah. His arm that had the gun, after he shot it at the Project Delta, his arm exploded off. As, yeah, so the heroes, the citizens were worried. And as the detective's like, you'll be okay, Zuko. Just, I know it's so much. There's only 2 more project creatures that, besides Ultra and Delta. One is called Omega. And the other is, I forget the other one. Magnus. Or Magma. If he show up. And Omega is basically the same thing as this is Omega. Or there. And then there was like Ultra, Mega, and then the Delta, and all that stuff. So, without further ado, they did win against those 2 final ones. So, and it was pretty much a painful for him. So, but he needs to relax and enjoy. So he spends quality time with his sister, his kids, his family, everything. So now, with that out of the way, let's end this with a bang. So, peace out, Cub Scouts, and have a good night day. Depends on time zones. And I'm actually thinking about not doing 2 uploads of today. So, just this one. So, peace out.